I want to ask you the question, what makes a leader or person of influence trustworthy?
It's hard because I don't trust many leaders or influencers out there.
I don't actually know if I've really fully heard this part of your process even. So I'm kind of interested to hear some of the answers to those questions.
Because people think that overwhelm is a feeling and it's actually a triggered reaction. As a wife who is provided for, what is my motivation and how do I stay consistent with going after my dreams whenever I have a calling on my life and whenever I have a lot of vision for who I want to be and the kind of work that I want to do and impact I want to make in the world. People want to experience this low to get this heightened emotional experience that will then hopefully propel them into the high of overcoming whatever that is. And that's a sign that you've lived in a lot of trauma. And I've seen a lot of the church do that. They go from hype to height.
I must not be a good dad. I must not be a good leader. I must not be cut out for business. My dad was never told I love you by his mom. I
start responding and reacting as if I was an 8-year-old little girl. It's going to be really hard for an 8-year-old little girl to show up and make powerful content. It's like so many Christians are still rushing to pray their pain away. And yet we are often practicing a lot of self-abandonment.
We are alive.
It's been a long time.
And free. Yeah. But mostly alive, because a lot of people listening to this or watching it would probably wonder if we are not alive.
If you only follow us on our podcast.
It's been months.
Where have they been?
It's been 5 months.
Has it really?
It's been 5 months.
Oh my.
I was looking through the podcast content on YouTube and it's 5 months.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, that just if that doesn't communicate how wild our life is.
Oh my goodness.
No one else will, because it's been busy. It's really busy.
If you have children under 4 years old, multiple, then we see you and we feel you. Okay?
Yes. And you get exactly why it's been so long.
Yes.
But it's been very busy at the Robbins household, and life has been really sweet and really hard, and high highs and low lows, holding space for an almost 4-year-old and then just keeping an almost 1-year-old alive.
Yep. But we have learned a lot about how to manage our states. Yes. We've learned a lot about how to regulate, how to show up with demands that life places on us that we've chosen into, like business, motherhood, fatherhood, marriage, community. And we've learned a lot, I feel like, in this season of how to connect with authentic peace, love, how to get into a place where we're not so demand driven. And I think the more that we talk with the coaches in our school that are learning to coach, that are balancing all the responsibilities they already have up till now, the questions I keep getting, and I know you do too, are these questions of I have so much overwhelm and demand, and how do I show up? How do I stay motivated? And there's kind of the subject too, I know we were briefly touching on it, and I want to hit on this during our conversation today, is how do you stay motivated when things do get difficult, and also when things are okay, how do you stay motivated? It's what is causing you to even want to show up? So I want to cover some of those topics today. And I feel like the season of life we've been in and having time away from the podcast we've really had a bunch of enlightening things that have happened to us. Would you say it's true?
Yeah. I mean, one thing that's happened with a lot of our clients is this pendulum swinging.
Yeah.
And I really can relate and identify with it. It's easy for me to stay as consistent as I am committed to in my schedule, at least with Alive and Free. Showing up to meetings, that feels fun and life-giving for me. But even with starting Goldie Kai, my jewelry line, my motivation is so back and forth, and I get inspired and excited, and I'm like, great, I'm going to work on this. And then I get really relaxed and I lose my vision, I lose inspiration, and then I get caught up in the weeds of momming every day. And then it's weeks that have gone by and I haven't touched it. And I noticed that being a really common theme for our clients in our school. They're like, man, I feel so called to this. I feel like God told me to do this. I feel called to be a coach. I want to do this. I'm excited about it. but I lose motivation. And if I'm not putting a ton of pressure on myself, which burns me out, then I feel like I just start kind of floating, and it's hard to be consistent and have discipline in what I'm going after. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about, is like,
it feels like you have to choose between two things. So many people have to choose between those two things.
Yeah. Well, it's either like, I'm going to put pressure on myself, work super hard until I feel like I'm burning out, be super committed and like white knuckle it. Or maybe I'm too cushy with myself. I get too comfortable.
Greasy grace.
Yeah, greasy grace. I lose my inspiration and my motivation, and then I just do nothing. But we really need to find that middle ground of what does it look like to stay so connected to vision that I'm disciplined and I'm consistent because of who I want to be and what I feel like God has placed inside of me and what he's calling me to.
I think about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You have survival needs at the bottom, food, shelter, transportation. And most people live in that state of need for a bunch of different reasons. I've heard all sorts of different things from our clients where they grew up and didn't have parents that showed them how to be responsible with money, or how to learn different skills that you can grow in your income. And just like, for me, I think I had to gain so many things through books and mentorship and things like that, just to get out of that state of like always considering my own survival needs. And then when you graduate past that, you're kind of like, well, what's next? Well, I care about relationships. Okay. It's like my needs are taken care of. I remember even when I was in ministry school, all I needed was like $800 a month to take care of all my needs at the time.
Right.
I was wild, right? And that wouldn't even cover
our water
my child's food for the month.
Like not even the water bill at our house.
Exactly. But I remember that need was taken care of. And it's like, cool, relationships and your health. And there's these things you're like, okay, survival needs taken care of. Now we're moving up the ladder, and then at the top,
you have the luxury to worry about other issues.
Well, that's why this hierarchy of needs exists, is because each one earns your right to focus on the next.
Yeah.
Because when you're in survival, all you care about is getting the next morsel of food. Mm-hmm. You're like, man, I haven't eaten for 2 days. Try telling a person who hasn't eaten for 2 days, who needs food, who hasn't had water. Try telling them that their relationships matter, or like, what are your dreams for the next season? That person be like, food.
Yeah.
And I think what I've noticed with the most successful people that I talk to in different areas, I'm not saying one area means you're successful, but in different areas of success, people that are successful in business, they have so graduated past survival needs. They're thinking through so many other needs, funding these dreams, this vision, even in relationships. We're like, am I just trying to get peace in my relationship, or are we dreaming for something so much better in our relationship, our marriage? You hear some people that are in crisis, and what they need is to get out of crisis. But then what happens when you get out of crisis? How do you graduate to that next stage of motivation? And I think I hear a lot of people struggle, and almost like some people almost create this self-sabotage to create new moments of motivation in their lives. And you don't even realize that you're in denial to this pattern, that you're constantly starting to destroy things so that you experience growth and change.
Yeah. It's like people want to experience this low to get this heightened emotional experience that will then hopefully propel them into the high of overcoming whatever that is. And that's a sign that you've lived in a lot of trauma. It's a sign that you are trying to feel something. You are trying to get this emotional experience. And I've seen a lot of the church do that. They go from hype to hype. And it's not healthy for you to be in high highs and low lows all of the time. It really is healthy to find a middle ground where you have consistency and rhythm. It's better for your nervous system. And I really do think, like, once you are out of the survival, I know for a man and a woman, it's different, especially if you are in a marriage. I don't have to think about and worry about the bills getting paid for, my, having food on the table. Like, you take care of me. So as a wife who is provided for, what is my motivation and how do I stay consistent with going after my dreams whenever I have a calling on my life and whenever I have a lot of vision for who I want to be and the kind of work that I want to do and impact I want to make in the world? Like,
I don't actually know if I've like really fully heard this part of your process even. So I'm kind of interested to hear even some of the answers to those questions.
Yeah. I mean, it really is different no matter what your circumstances. If you know your bills are going to be paid and you're not doing things just to make money or just to meet your own needs, how do you have that consistency? How do you draw inspiration? How do you choose into discipline to cultivate that? Like, for me, a big part of my motivation is getting to experience any autonomy in my life in this season of motherhood. Like, I love having things that I do on a weekly basis that give me a sense of autonomy and remind me of who I am and what's inside of me.
Yeah.
It actually helps me feel more present in motherhood whenever I have even just a few hours of working on something else. And it is hard, though, to stay consistent whenever I don't have to do anything. I don't have to work in Alive and Free. I don't have to do this podcast. I don't have to have a jewelry line. I could just be with my babies and hang out at the beach and go play all day long if I wanted to.
It is interesting how sometimes we crave almost that slave mentality, like someone tell me what to do.
Yeah.
I think that's why too, employment sometimes is so easy for people. And even like I've heard this before, both about work and working out, like, oh, I couldn't work from home. I wouldn't know how to stay motivated, or I couldn't work out from home. I wouldn't be able to like, and those are two things we do.
Yeah.
Work from home and work out from home.
And we've cultivated intrinsic motivation.
Yes.
It's like that extrinsic motivation means I need other people looking over my shoulder. I need to be feeding off of other people's energy, whatever it is. And it has to come from the outside in order for me to make these decisions.
Yeah.
Versus there's something that's inside of me where I desire this enough that I can fight for it and cultivate this discipline because of my vision.
So how does somebody get there? Because like I think about this and a part of my brain goes to, well, doesn't somebody just kind of have to remove the thing that causes you to, it's like the protector. So if it is like, I need to work out at a gym to stay motivated. What if you just try working out at home? At first, I feel like it's going to suck. You're probably going to go, well, I've never done this before. I don't have the skills or the mindsets to be able to do this. But I feel like the frequent exposure to new stimulus kind of causes you to rise up to the challenge. But sometimes it doesn't too.
Well, I mean, you are working a muscle out just the way you'd be working your muscles out. Like you're having to exercise a new skill that you have never had to cultivate before, doing something on your own, whether that's starting a new business on your own, working from home, working out from a gym. You are exercising this internal muscle of, I'm going to choose discipline regardless of my environment, regardless of any external factors or motivations. And you have to subject yourself to it over and over and over again to build strength in it, just like you would have to be exercising muscle groups over and over again on a weekly basis in order to build strength. Yeah.
The more that we're talking about this too, I'm starting to realize like these are like the byproducts of first kind of defining what you want and why you want, like what's your why?
Yeah.
And I think we hear that, or we read the books like, what's your why? And we kind of like get overexposed to these ideas that we then become numb to because I've heard it on a podcast or something like that. And I do even like the vision casting. Here, so many people that come up against it, like, oh, so just law of attraction, just see the thing and then you'll believe it's yours and you'll step into it. There's some truth to it. And there's some things that I
I mean, a man that lacks vision perishes.
Yes, I'm 100% on it. I think the way that subject is utilized by certain people, where the way that they worship vision, or almost like so attached to it, where it's like the vision is what's going to save me from all my inward pain.
Yeah.
And we've battled that too. I think any person that is a visionary is having to navigate that journey of the relationship with vision to maintain health with it. But I think there are so many people afraid of wanting, allowing themselves to co-labor with God and engage the vulnerable question that he might be asking us of, what do you want, kiddo? I hear so many people, and myself included, where it feels so vulnerable to allow myself to want something.
Yeah.
And it almost I feel guilty sometimes, going, well, that's, I should die to my need. There's all these things I heard growing up in church: deny yourself, take up your cross, follow me. So that must mean I can't have wants. I can't have, desires. But then it's completely contrasted by desire fulfilled or hope deferred makes the heart sick. Desire fulfilled is a tree of life. Desire is met in God, and also he planted us in a garden with external pleasure. So what part does external pleasure play in this relationship with God? I think about my own kids. I want Wilder, who's our 3-year-old, to learn what he wants. I want him to learn his desires. I want to see him come out of his shell and enjoy dreaming. But I also don't want those dreams to cause him to enter into a state of separation and create space. I want him to involve us, and I want him to feel supported by us. I want it to be cause for more connection. And I think when I think about God's heart, the prodigal son, the problem wasn't that he wanted enjoyment. His father provided that when he came home. It's that he believed he could do it his way better. Yeah. And I do think there's kind of this journey that we have to go on with God, where we're like, what's in my heart to dream, and what do I have permission to dream for with you? That starts this whole journey of, well, when I start dreaming, this is what the vision could be. What's it rooted in? I want to help people. In which way do you want to help people? And then you start thinking outside of yourself, and you have a dream that's so big that it requires you getting past your survival needs. And I think once you start getting there, then you can start to vision cast, and then you can create the steps leading to that vision. Yeah. And you can take action on those things, and taking action and seeing result breeds more motivation for more discipline. That's some of the higher view of what I see in some of this, but maybe I'm missing some gaps here. Like, how would you think about it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that there are so many nuances in this. Like, if I put myself in the shoes of one of our clients that's wanting to start a coaching business, well, you might have a call from God to lead people in this way. You might have a natural God-given gift where people just come to you and feel safe with you and want to share and process emotional pain. And maybe you've been on a journey and you feel like you really have the tools that people need to help get them heart connected and get them emotional breakthrough and walk them through tragedy or whatever it is. And then when you go to start a business, now you have the fear of failure, risking putting myself out there. And so maybe you lose motivation because you have that fear of failure. Maybe you have fear of man. If I expose myself and I'm judged or misunderstood or rejected, now you have another element of maybe it's not that you've lost vision. Maybe you started putting your eye on the wrong thing. Maybe you just lost vision of your connection with God. And you've now focused on your fear of man, and you're in a triggered state of, well, if I put myself out there and I start making content, people are going to judge me. People are going to reject me.
We've never been judged for content.
Sometimes I see our Facebook ads whenever I'm on Facebook, which is rarely, and I see the thousands of comments.
Oh my goodness.
I sometimes get tempted to click it and read them, but the times I have,
it's never good.
Anyways, there's so many nuances, though, is what I'm saying, where you might feel a really pure heart of feeling discipline, drive, motivation, because you have vision and you're connected to God in a moment. And then other things come in and muddy the water. And it's not that you are lazy and it's not that you're lacking discipline. It's that you got triggered and now you are struggling with fear of man, fear of rejection, fear of failure, whatever it is. And it's muddying the water and it's making hard for you to stay disciplined because you're in a triggered state. And every time you go to think about doing the course or, creating a reel for social media to practice organic marketing or whatever it is, the next step, well, now you're in a triggered state while you're trying to take a step in your business that requires you to be heart connected and have your eyes on Jesus to be able to do it from a pure place. And so I think what it really is, it's not like I'm, being hard on myself, dedicated, I feel pressure and I'm working hard and I have vision. It's that you are now losing all of those things because you are in a triggered state.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to manage your state, take care of your heart, deal with those emotions, you won't be able to get back to that place of wanting to coach from a pure heart and staying motivated by your vision.
Yeah. It's interesting. Right now, I feel a lot more connected to creativity, and it's hard taking yourself out of a moment where you feel something and remembering when you feel something else. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to remember what it feels like when I'm triggered and trying to show up in my business or as a parent. And I think my biggest triggers that I feel is when something happens, usually it's an outcome that I don't like or don't want. And that outcome tells me a story about me. It gives me meaning. And that meaning I draw from it is that there must be something wrong with me. Mm-hmm. I must not be a good dad. I must not be a good leader. I must not be cut out for business. And it's usually this strong disqualifier, this thing that is looking for external evidence that I am something. If I do enough and there's enough of a result, therefore I am. Yeah. Instead of this, I feel so inadequate. Let me bring that vulnerability to the Father who bestows my identity. And I think when we don't fully receive that from our parents because they didn't know how to give it, my dad, was never told I love you by his mom. So there's so many things like that in his life he didn't know how to give or bestow as a father. And I think with that void, some of that void in my life, I went to the external things I could do so that I didn't feel so much, trauma in this area. I didn't feel so much of that emptiness. And it's kind of like,
birds are so loud, you guys.
Those Franklins, I honestly want to kill them all.
Get a BB gun.
I know.
There wouldn't be enough pellets in the BB gun to kill them all because there are so many birds, you guys.
There's a dead Franklin outside of our garage, and I had joy in my heart when I saw that it was dead.
Yes, it's really sad.
Joy. I was like, that's one less loud bird outside of our windows. I think about we have the trigger and then we have our protector against the trigger. How do I make sure I don't feel this pain I feel?
Yeah.
Something surfaced the pain. I have a strategy that my brain has learned, usually since childhood, to combat the pain. Mm-hmm. And usually those strategies might remove one danger and present another, mm-hmm. which is why it's worth getting help and working through those things. And for me, it's, I am inadequate because something triggered me into that space. And then I go into this hypervigilant state of let me do as much as I possibly can to try and control the outcome that makes me no longer feel or believe that thing, mm-hmm. that I'm inadequate. But I'm not functioning in my creative brain anymore. And I'm not connected to myself, my true self. And so the output is already diminished because I'm showing up as a false version of me using strategies that's not connected to my heart.
Yeah.
And so the best thing I can do to get to the output I actually want is to release the output and ask those questions about, what am I worth? How do you feel about me, God? How do you see me? Who am I to you? Yeah. And getting to that place where I'm like, who I am matters more than what I do. Mm-hmm. And that's just one of the things that I feel like I have to work through to get back to that state of motivation, because that state of motivation is coming from what does Spencer contribute to every area that he shows up to when he's connected to himself?
Yeah.
If I am in my true self, how do I show up as a dad? As a husband, as a leader? Well, it's very different then I have to show up to control Wilder's outcomes. I have to show up to control the business outcomes. It's a different way that I experience those moments altogether.
I don't have any direction to go with that now. I got lost at the end of what you were saying. So then I was like, I don't know how to take this a different direction. This is obviously an edit.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is so nuanced for every single person.
Yeah. What
would help me, I feel like, to know in your case is what have been the challenges for you in terms of like motivation. I'm aware of some of them. And I think too, I love the context of podcasts because we get to draw so much more out of each other. And when we're like, wow, let's not talk about this stuff when we're on a date, but it's kind of cool to hear some of those extracted thoughts. What do you feel like are your biggest challenges in this season in this subject?
Yeah. I mean, it is so different when I think about anyone listening to this. It's such a different dialogue for a man than it is a woman.
Yeah.
And not to make it black and white, but we do just function so differently, and that's a gift and it's very needed. And though some women are more driven than others, some women listening to this are single and you don't have your bills taken care of. And you're like, my strategy would be, I want to make sure I'm working in something that is the most life-giving thing I could do if I'm needing to work to make money. And that's why I wanted to start Alive and Free in the beginning. It was like, how can I spend my time doing what I'm the most passionate about? And that's what Alive and Free was birthed from, was like, my heart comes alive doing this, and I can't even see myself doing anything differently. And so, I mean, I worked a lot those first 5 years of Alive and Free, and
yes.
And really, I pulled my weight a lot.
Oh, my goodness.
But we built Alive and Free so that when we had kids, I could be a present mom. And that was the goal of everything we built, was to be able to move me out of it as much as I wanted to be out of it. And it's still, I love it just as much today as I did in the very beginning. Like, it's still something that's so life-giving and recharging for me. And even my coaching calls that I lead for Coach Launch, every single time I show up, I feel more connected to myself after. And I'm so thankful. Like, that really is my motivation for any work that I do with Alive and Free, which is very different from my Goldie Kai work. They're very different roles I function in. But anything I do in Alive and Free is so full of purpose, and it is such a natural, raw overflow of who I am, and I get to just be myself. And it's this time where I'm getting to share and talk about and lead people in the thing that I believe matters the most in this world, which is helping people. I mean, it's going to be so hard to sum it up because what we do is really complex, but essentially helping people heal so that they can come alive and thrive in their life. And all of that happens through learning how to process pain and connect with God in the middle of it. If I could keep it ultra simple. Mm-hmm. I think that that's what matters the most. That has been the journey that's changed my life the most. It's the reason why we're married. It's the reason why we have this business. It's the reason why I'm a healthy, functioning woman today. If you knew where I came from, without exposing any details about my family, if you knew my history and the trauma that I was raised.
Have you not already exposed these details?
No, there's a lot that I haven't shared. I've shared.
Okay. But there's generalized things you've shared.
I have to shield a lot just to cover my family.
Yeah, I get it.
I don't want to trigger unnecessary shame.
Yeah.
But if you knew where I came from, you would be able to see what a miracle the amount of health and stability that I have is. It's the hand of God over my life, yes, but I made a lot of hard decisions along the way that helped me get into a place of health. And my biggest motivation that keeps me connected is I feel so aligned when I do this work. And I love that feeling of getting to have an expression of who I am and getting to see people get touched by God, getting to see people experience the relief that happens in healing, the clarity that comes in healing. And I think that really is my biggest motivator and my biggest vision in this work that I do. In Goldie Kai, it's like my side hustle that has absolutely no depth, no real meaning. It's just fun for me. It's an expression of who I am in the sense that I get to go dive in the ocean, find shells, drill them, make jewelry, style different pieces. It gives me like a fun little beach escape to go do photo shoots with friends. And it's more just something that's a hobby that I would like to make money from. And that is difficult for me because I have no real need to make money. And so I feel this tension of like, I could go and focus on creating a bunch of reels and posts and build an organic following, which is very small, by the way. I could do that, but I'd have to take time away from my babies to do that. Mm-hmm. And I don't need to do that. But my long-term vision, like it would be so amazing to have like an established jewelry line that I'm proud of. It'd be so amazing to be designing people's engagement rings. Like that's my dream. That's kind of how Goldie Kai was birthed, because I designed my own engagement ring and I loved it so much. And I could never find jewelry that I really loved. And so I just never bought any for most of our marriage. And then I just was like, well, if I can make my own, then I can wear pieces that I actually like. And it just became this fun thing for me. But now it's like, how do I have the motivation when I don't actually have to do this? Yeah. I have no fire under my butt, like telling me that I need to work hard. And so the only time I work is if I am connected to vision, which is I want some autonomy in my life, but I also want to build something that I feel proud of just because I want to, not because I need it, not because the world even needs it, but just because this feels fun for me. And that's a weird thing to navigate as a woman, where I'm like, nothing is forcing me to do this. I just want to for fun.
Well, I think when I met with a high performance business coach, we went through a lot of self-exploration for me to figure out what my core values were and my personal mission before extending it to businesses. And my core value that connects to everything is personal growth and development. And I feel like so many people have that. And when you think about like personal growth and development, it really doesn't matter what you do, as long as that thing contributes to growth and development. Yeah. So I think about what you're talking about, like there's an expression in this Goldie Kai thing that causes you to have to grow. Mm-hmm. And also it's you paying attention to a dream that's in your heart of like, here's an output that is fun for me. Yeah. And it gives value. Yeah.
I think that's a big motivator, is like, I like making decisions that future me will be proud of. It's a part of like what motivates me to eat healthy, what motivates me to work out. Like we have a lot of disciplines in our life that lead to a lot of health and growth in the future. And I think that's a big part of it for me, is I enjoy making decisions that I feel proud of. And I like working hard, and I like having something that I'm doing all by myself. And so it's more, I don't know that I have other language for it than that, but it is like driving me into growth, because I'm having to learn new skills, and that feels life-giving to me.
Well, I think some people, I've heard this actually, and I've actually seen this like in comments and stuff, like, well, good for you guys. Like, lucky for you, you get to have all these opportunities. And I've heard that from a perspective of pain. Yeah. These people that see people with opportunities and they're living in more freedom of choice of what they want to do. Mm-hmm. And there's this contempt that can come up that's usually a reaction to pain because they feel limited in their opportunities. And people that are in that place, it's hard to see, like, I desire that outcome without seeing the path you went through to get there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a perspective a lot of people need to gain, because if people were to see what we went through to build Alive and Free in the beginning, most people would never choose that. Yeah. A lot of people would never choose that. Yeah. But that was a dedication to a dream that we had in our hearts that we went after that required a lot from us, a lot of growth, a lot of monetary investment, effort, sacrifice, because we believed in something.
It's still all of those things.
It's still all those things.
Constantly investing in every area into that business.
But there are things I don't have to do in my business that I don't want to do in my business, and I don't have to do in my business. And I am far more rewarded monetarily and time-wise because of the things that I've built and done up till now. So I have purchased for myself new opportunities and choices that allow more freedoms.
We weren't handed any of these things.
Think about the person that's built multiple businesses and he has like 100 million in the bank. The level of choice that guy has is massive. But those same people feel burdened by their ability as well. You know, Elon Musk, he was like in an interview and he was like, nobody wants to be me. Someone was like, what's it like to be you? And he's like, it's like a prison, you know, and he's talking about how he just feels so capable, but it's almost like it drives this duty to have to show up because, you know, I'm so capable. And I think so many people will see a person like that and be like, oh, what I would do with $1 billion. And it's like, yeah, you would consume it.
Yeah.
Those people have learned consumption doesn't satisfy. And there are many people that are like, okay, well now they're greedy for power. There are those people, but for us to throw a blanket statement out there that all people that are accomplishing big things are XYZ.
You have no understanding.
We usually do that to protect ourselves from our own inadequacy. I'm unwilling to face my shame, so I'm unwilling to address the nuances that people live in different categories and scenarios.
Yeah.
You know, Forrest, special singer guy that's filling up stadiums and stuff. Forrest. Frank. There we go. He was talking about the money he makes, and I think he was like targeted by somebody with all the money he makes and off music and stuff. And he's like, he just had this video where he's like, how do you know what I do with my money or not? And I was like, I knew that he's a giver. Like I knew that he's like probably a strong giver. And I was like, yeah, you don't know. You just don't know what motivates a person. And I think sometimes when I look back, it was so much easier to function from this WWJD mentality of like, what's my duty as a Christian and how do I just remain obedient?
Yeah.
And I don't think I've left obedience at all, but I think I've graduated past give me the 10 things to do so that I can be a robot that does them. It's more of a friendship with God where I'm like, what's the green lights and what are the red lights, God?
You're no longer living from this shame of what you should do to be a good Christian boy.
Yeah.
It's like you've gotten so much healing in that area. And same for me. We had very similar tendencies with that. But we so worked through and got healing in that shame that drove us that now it's like, well, now that shame and religion aren't my driving force and aren't my motivator. Now, how do I actually keep motivation, for example, from this place of connection, from this place of vision, from this place of purity of heart? You know, and one thing that I'm thinking about that's probably off topic is how much our nervous system plays a role whenever we are going after something, and how often people enter into this like freeze state whenever it comes towards work and productivity or building a dream or going after a vision. We get in this state of freeze where we go into shutdown.
Yeah.
And we might numb and space out and lose all motivation for hours, days, or weeks at a time. But like your nervous system is actually in a state of freeze. You are in fight or flight. You are in a triggered state, meaning you're experiencing an emotional flashback and you are having a reaction to that.
Do you think it's normally from overwhelm? Like,
I won't generalize it.
Yeah,
I think it's just a trigger in general because people think that overwhelm is a feeling and it's actually a triggered reaction.
Yeah. Well, I think it comes from a lot of people I talk to specifically in starting a business, growing a business, like all that, something new, learning a skill. They see the next 100 steps and they get overwhelmed by all the things they have to do rather than the next step.
Yeah.
And then the pressure for the outcome they think they need becomes something they become urgent for. And then they place all this pressure on themselves to get there before just learning the foundations and taking the next step.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you don't criticize a baby learning to walk and be like, you fell again. Really? You should just give up altogether. It's like, no, we're like, oh, you're going to get it.
You celebrate every
it's like, yay.
little move.
Every little micro growth. Yeah, for sure. And I think I heard Tony Robbins one time say we drastically overestimate what we can do in a short period of time and drastically underestimate what we can do in a long period of time. And it's just true. Like we think, oh, I have to get this amount done in a month. And if I don't, I won't do it all together. And it's like, yeah, but the person with delayed gratification and a focus on the next thing that's in front of them with the grace for today, that does that thing for 3 years, has built something beautiful and wasn't connected to worry and stress the entire time.
Yeah.
And how do you enter into that state? I think that requires functioning from identity and connection to yourself and God rather than the outputs.
Which what I do and what I have to tell my clients to do, which you guys literally, I shared on socials yesterday. I had 7 nights of being sleep deprived. I just was a wreck. I couldn't function. I felt triggered out of my mind. I couldn't regulate. I was too sleep deprived. And not to mention Wilder didn't sleep for the first 2.5 years of his life. And so when I'm sleep deprived, I also enter into this like PTSD because I was so sleep deprived for so long with him that I have future trip, like, oh no, I'm going to be like this again and not be able to function. So I was at the end of myself just yesterday and then made some good decisions, went to bed really early, had a good night's sleep. And here I am, I'm regulated again. I know what it's like to be super triggered on a consistent daily basis and to have to work through those moments. So for myself and then for our clients in Coach Launch, one thing that I have them practice if they're feeling shut down or like losing motivation or they're overwhelmed with all of the things that they have to do, or maybe they're feeling a lot of fear of man and they're like, how am I going to do this? Because I have to keep putting myself out there and it feels too hard. Maybe they're entering into like perfectionism. I have to do this perfect. This video has to be perfect. I have to say it right. My website has to be perfect before I actually do it. And you will never get anything done. If you're waiting till something has to be perfect, you will never get it done. You have to make it good enough, release it, and then make it better later. That's a lesson that I learned early on. I'm so thankful that you helped me with that, Spencer, because I would just get into that like analysis paralysis and wouldn't get anything done. And so regardless of what the trigger is, pay attention to what am I feeling right now? Instead of trying to continue going through the course or finish launching your website or whatever the thing on your to-do list is, instead of trying to do that from a triggered state, instead take a break, take care of your heart. Maybe you journal and throw worship on. Journal? Did I say that right? Yeah. Maybe you journal and throw worship on. My brain is like, what are the words that you're saying right now? Does this make sense? But connect in with your heart. Ask your heart, ask Holy Spirit, what am I feeling right now? What am I afraid of? What is going on in me right now? And start writing it out. You want to have a space to like actually unload and get really honest and authentic about where you're at so you can deal with the emotions. Otherwise, they will keep lingering in your day and it'll turn into like this whack-a-mole game where if you don't deal with it, it'll show up in another area. And maybe you're trying to hit it there and it's going to pop up in a totally separate area unrelated to work and your vision. So deal with it. What am I feeling? What does this remind me of? Like, what are these emotions going on in me? Like, what does this overwhelm feel like? I know a big trigger for me is like feeling out of control. And I have a trigger around chaos too. And those emotions remind me a lot of the chaos of my childhood where I felt so out of control in my circumstances with my family. And so when I'm triggered and when I feel out of control in work, for example, I start responding and reacting as if I was an 8-year-old little girl because I'm in an emotional flashback. With
the strategies that 8-year-old girl learned to deal with the pain.
Yes. And so it's going to be really hard for an 8-year-old little girl to show up and make powerful content. It's going to be really hard for an 8-year-old little girl to be able to be disciplined and have amazing vision. I'm functioning from that state if I'm not taking care of my heart. And so if I can spend time taking care of my heart and that trigger of feeling out of control, comfort her, bring compassion to her, validate her emotions, let her know that I'm going to be there for her, and then bring in Jesus into that experience. Jesus, how do you want to love me in this? How can I hold on to your peace in this? How do you want to show up for me whenever I'm hurting and I'm feeling out of control? How do you want to comfort me in this? If I can get my heart connected to myself and to God in that state, it's a lot easier to come back into my right brain my left brain and be able to enter back into logic and not be hijacked by that right brain emotional state. I can be now a present, connected, regulated adult whenever I've actually taken care of that emotion. So with our clients, what I have them do is on repeat, start paying attention to every time they start feeling triggered, every time they start feeling like that freeze response or that shutdown and the lack of motivation. Sit down, write it out, get to the root of it, take care of your heart, get connected to God, and then set like a 20-minute timer to do the course and see how you feel. I notice if I like focus on short things or like the next thing on my to-do list, rather than what do I have to do in the next month, when I'm in that 20-minute timer, I often feel inspired. I often then feel proud of myself for the momentum that I'm getting. I often have this injection of identity that happens and I feel this alignment. And then the 20 minutes turns into 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, now I feel so proud of myself. I just overcame that. Now I have more emotional resilience. I took care of my heart along the way. So now I'm taken care of, and I was taking care of all of these other things. And now I'm productive. And I find that, even with my to-do list, if I do just chip away at like, what is there grace for today in? And I let that be enough, I get so much more done than putting heaps of pressure on myself and entering into performance and striving.
Yeah. I think too, sometimes people bite off too many things to chew, where it's like you're spreading your attention in way too many areas. You need to start taking away.
Yeah.
Like you need to get more focused on a few things that you can focus on in the season. And sometimes it's difficult to go through a process of elimination.
Yeah.
Because we're like, well, I'm so attached to that thing. Well, yeah, but it's not like when you split your attention between 3 big things, like say it's 3 businesses, you're not giving 30%, 30%, 30%. You're giving like 10%, 10%, 10%, because just the fact that there are 3 things is diminishing your ability to give full attention.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things too. There's lots of internal and there's lots of practical in this too. And, I had a client, amazing client yesterday that I was talking to doing in one of our Q&As, and she was like, yeah, I have this resistance that comes up when I'm coaching this type of person. And I was like, okay, tell me more. And she's like, yeah, it's when somebody is so logic dominant that they can't get into their emotions. She's like, I had so much freedom from that I'm like, I want them to get it. And then I get frustrated, and in that frustration, I start believing that they're unwilling to. And I'm like, well, do you believe that? She's like, no. I was like, okay, you believe that when you're in the moment because you're triggered. And I was like, that's interesting. And we started talking about it. And there's moments even when you're in a coaching session that you can just take 5 seconds. I think sometimes we think I need all this margin to work through things. And as parents and business owners, it doesn't come. It don't come.
We ain't got
there's no time that showed up.
Yeah.
And we underestimate what 5 minutes can do in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
And I was telling her, I was like, that moment you recognize this resistance is a trigger in me, just pause for a moment. And you can even tell your client like, hey, I'm just taking a moment inside of myself just to process this 1 second.
Yeah.
And then just give yourself 10 seconds to go, okay, I need this person to show up in a certain way for me to feel okay. What is that in me? Oh, I didn't know how to be okay when my caretakers were in chaos.
One thing that I tell our clients to do, which we don't do a lot of coaching calls together anymore, but what I used to do in coaching sessions is I'd pay attention to the feeling, and then I would just write it down while my client was sharing whatever they were sharing. If I was experiencing resistance to their logic, I'd just write on my notepad while I'm taking notes about what they're sharing, resistance. And then internally, I'd be like, heart, I'm going to take care of you later.
Oh yeah, that's good.
One thing that I've found is if you have a tendency to not take care of your heart, then when you are in an interaction with someone, whether you're coaching someone or, an interaction with your spouse, your heart might start freaking out. This trigger might feel really big because your heart believes that it's not going to get its need met. It believes it's not going to be taken care of. So it uses this moment and this opportunity to be like screaming at you internally. But if you are consistent at taking care of your heart and creating margin in your life to process pain, your heart will feel a safety and it will know and trust that you're going to give it space, time, and a voice. And so you can actually healthily compartmentalize in a session. And your trigger, what I've noticed happens with me, I'm not saying this is scientifically true, but my trigger will go down.
Yeah.
Because my heart feels the safety of there's enough space for me to deal with this later. And I follow through with that too.
You follow through with it.
And then once I've finished my session and I've followed through with it, taking care of my heart, now I've healed in an area. Like that trigger was a gift to me.
Yeah.
Say it was the same one as that client yesterday.
Yeah.
That trigger was a gift to me because it exposed an area where I had fear. This is me making it up and guessing, but fear around dealing with someone that's stuck in their logic. But now I can get safety in that part of my heart and I will no longer trigger in that area, or I will not trigger as often, or I won't be as big.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard all sorts of different things. Like somebody hears a really dark sin and they're like, oh,
yeah,
I need to fix this.
Yes.
Or like they're in denial to something that they should stop doing.
Yeah.
Or that's abuse. And there's like whatever that the leader or it's like he'll tense up, the coach, the leader, the pastor will be like, oh. And then all of a sudden there's this sense of I'm not okay with what they're going through. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden that trigger, we just start functioning from it.
Or we flash back
Yes.
to our own scenario. Maybe you put yourself, maybe you as a coach hear of a scenario that your client's sharing about that you yourself have been through. And now all of a sudden you're projecting onto them.
Yeah.
You have your fear and pain coming out. It's like your greatest asset as a coach really is learning how to work through your own triggers.
Your nervous system.
It will be the best thing you could ever do for your clients is to take really amazing care of your heart on a regular basis, because then you are coaching and leading from a place of overflow and fullness rather than performance and striving. And your heart and your nervous system will be able to be the safe, calm leader that your client needs because it's so full.
Yeah. I rarely feel moved as much by what a leader, an influencer, a coach says than I am moved by what they emit.
Yes.
In their energy, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, right? So it's literally, I'm like, well, I sense in your nervous system, there's regulation. I'm drawing from that in a way that I feel internal chaos.
Yeah.
And so if you're able to find that in yourself, your kids get to draw from that nervous system. Your clients get to draw from that nervous system. Employees, the people around you. And that's the power of getting to work through this stuff, is you're not just learning clinical head knowledge to be able to help somebody with knowledge. Mm. You're learning to give away something that changes them just by the nature of who you are and what you're cultivating inside of yourself.
I think that's the beautiful thing about being in a posture of receiving. Like if you find safe enough leaders, like our clients that are trusting us enough to go through coach launch, it's like if you find safe enough people and you can enter into and submit yourself to this journey, it will be triggering. You will have a lot of things that come up in you. You will have many opportunities to shut down, numb, or run away. But if you so choose to lean in and work through those triggers, it's actually adding to your emotional resilience and your skill set as a coach to be able to show up for your future clients.
So good.
Because you're having experience after experience of working through pain. And what are your clients coming to you for? Healing from pain.
Yep. Absolutely.
So if you have that to offer them and they can feel your emotional regulation and the safety that you carry and also your humility, it's a very different experience to work with a coach who thinks that they have all the answers and they've learned a lot of head knowledge and they can give you all the tools versus having someone that is constantly humbled in life and is owning it and being authentic with where they're at and isn't afraid to share about their pain, failures, shortcomings, and how God met them there. Like, I love getting to lead from that place of authenticity. Like, here's me and all of the things that I've walked through. I'm still on the journey every single day. I'm still being humbled and refined every single day. It's really relieving not having to be the coach with all the answers. I don't have to have it all together. I get to just show up and overflow. It makes it really easy to hold space for people too. Whenever you're constantly learning how to hold space for yourself and allow yourself to feel and process before even connecting with God. It's like so many Christians are still rushing to pray their pain away. They're still rushing to escape it, is essentially what they're doing. And it can sound really beautiful and
noble and spiritual
and holy. And yet we are often practicing a lot of self-abandonment. We're still in this state of flight, wanting to run away and numb our pain. Like, God wants to meet you in the middle of your pain, in the middle of your mess. He wants to love you and be with you right there. And that's what creates true intimacy and real healing, is getting to be loved by him in the middle of the mess. He's not afraid of your pain. He's not in a rush to get rid of it. He wants to comfort you in the middle of it. And that is the thing that creates healing.
So good. Well, I know we're like closing up here. This was a great conversation. Hopefully you guys found some value in it. But what you were saying is creating a perfect segue. I want to do this right now because I have a YouTube video that is coming out, I think in the week, on the subject. And I've obsessed over this subject actually and done a lot of research on it. But the question I want to ask you, and I'm actually going to take this and add it to the video.
Okay.
But my question I want to ask you, and this is maybe a little teaser for that video. If you guys want, you can go to my YouTube channel. I want to ask you the question, what makes a leader or person of influence trustworthy?
It's hard because I don't trust many leaders or influencers out there. And I'm sure this has been true for a lot of you too. Even thinking about the question, I think about the many leaders that I know where I know too much of information that's not public.
Yeah.
And
well, the nature of our roles and what we've done in our business.
Yes. And all the people we know.
And all the people we know.
And the scoops that we get. And it's a tension really of not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Okay, I have my answer.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's a tension of not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because someone can have gifting in certain areas and they can have a lot of wisdom in other areas. And as long as I don't have this person on a pedestal and need them to be perfect and need them to be Jesus, then I can appreciate the giftings and the wisdom that they have and also recognize and hold space for their failures. And so I think the biggest thing that helps me trust a leader or person of influence is them owning publicly their pain, their mess, being a person who is not afraid to be honest and authentic. I want to hear about their issues and how they overcome it. I don't want to just hear their beautiful teachings and their wins. I would need to see evidence in their life of them being on a real journey, because it's not needing someone to be perfect and sinless and not have any failures. It's how are you overcoming those?
Yep.
How are you experiencing healing in those areas? How are you growing from those things? And do you have enough humility to be willing to own that and not just put all of your pretty things and your polished revelations out there?
Yep. Love it. Okay. we'll see what comes out in the video. That was a great response.
Good.
So
I'm glad you put
appreciate you guys. Love y'all. See you on the next episode. We're going to try to do a lot more of these. Yeah. Come to the YouTube channel, Spencer Robbins on YouTube, if you guys want to see more of that content. See you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.